Hey, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today. We're going to be going over business statements because they're a crucial part of your brand. They help guide you through decisions and ensure that any team members that you hire understand what you do and how you do it. There are three main business statements that we're going to go over today. It's going to be your brand values, mission, and vision statements. First, we're going to go over brand values. They're typically 3 to 5 words or phrases that explain what your company is at its core. Let's go over an example. The Guild-Free Agency's values are to work toward eco-inclusivity, show compassion, be understanding, and help others be revolutionary. So why are those my values? Well, because coming from a place of compassion and understanding helps me create designs and brand experiences for my clients that create a more welcoming and diverse community. Eco-inclusivity is all about putting people and the planet first. Again, just helping bring about that welcoming and diverse community around my clients' brands. And of course, to help others be revolutionary. Quite frankly, I am here to help change lives. By supporting the business owners with ideas, products, and services that are making a difference, I can do that. Now let's work through creating values for Squeezy. Squeezy is a brand concept I created based off of a brand challenge I found on Instagram. The brief was for a fruit and veggie drink. They're a nutritious drink that helps you get a portion of your daily vitamins. All right, so you shouldn't create the design before you create your statements. Statements should come first, but I figured this is a good way to show like the vision that you have in your mind and how that can become reality. So right now, the cans on Squeezy say that they support local farms, and we know that they're a fruit and veggie drink. They're nutritious, use vibrant colors, and also use wholesome humor. So let's say that's the extent of the idea that you have for your business. Now, this is where we start asking more questions. So what kind of farms do you want to work with? And then also, like, what are things that your consumers would probably want from your brand, right? That are also important to you. So that's going to be really important, that they're important to your consumer and they're important to you. And that's like the sweet spot right there. Let's see. So let's say they start working with an organization that helps farms like transition into more like the permaculture and indigenous techniques. So that's working towards like soil regeneration. Now, let's also say that they're based in the US. Now, as far as I know, there aren't a ton of farms that are using that permaculture technique. So they'll likely only be able to purchase like an X amount of the fruits and vegetables of the drink from those farms. So again, that's a commitment to soil regeneration. So that right there is a value. And let's say that they are also doing like hyper local. So kind of like Chipotle, where they buy a lot of their ingredients from like local farms and based off of the area. So they do something similar where they have a manufacturing facility near where the majority, like the farms are for that area, and so on and so forth. So that could be a value right there. So supporting localized economies. And then if we think about their consumer base, they are likely going to be a little more conscious on the conscious side. So transparency is going to be really important to them. And that's something that, could easily be implemented into the brand. So like sharing, some information about like the farms that you work with and stuff like that, maybe highlighting a few, that kind of thing on your website. So that's 3 right there. Soil regeneration, supporting local economies, and transparency. Now, the values, it's really important the values don't sound repetitive to your industry or to like the overall industry, that kind of thing. So, for example, like a lot of environmentally friendly brands, especially like they're the like food brands or personal care brands, they'll say things like quality ingredients or environmentally friendly. But a lot of brands say stuff like that, and you don't want to be another one saying the same thing, especially because a lot of consumers nowadays are like, okay, so environmentally friendly, what does that even mean to this company? Because we're starting to become more familiar with like greenwashing on a larger scale. So people are being a little more hesitant of brands that say stuff like that. So you need to say that in a different way based off like the actions that you're taking. So example, like by supporting soil regeneration, you're automatically saying those two things. You're automatically saying that you are supporting quality ingredients and that you are environmentally friendly. So that's what you should aim to achieve with your values. Same thing that I did with mine. I don't explicitly say that I support that, I'm supportive of communities, but I say that through my values, through eco-inclusivity, through helping others, being compassionate, being understanding. It's implied there, right? So yeah, just a few tips there for your values. All right, so next one's going to be the mission statement. So your company should have something more in depth for internal usage, like training employees on culture and making decisions and stuff like that. But if you're just getting started on your business statements, it's going to be the first time you're creating them, then it's okay to start off with just the customer facing one. So this is going to be the transformation you provide your clients or customers and how you do it with in about 1 to 2 sentences. All right, here's an example of a business statement. So the Guilt-Free Agency helps our clients revolutionize their world through personalized strategies and designs aimed at building up their communities. So that explains the transformation I provide, helping my clients revolutionize their world, how I do it through personalized strategies and designs aimed at building up their communities. So now let's go ahead and create one for Squeezy while keeping in mind their values and what they offer. So they offer fruit and veggie drinks that are delicious and help you get a portion of your daily food requirements. And they do that through making the planet's health and your health a priority, again, through the soil regeneration, through quality ingredients and being environmentally friendly, right? So we didn't explicitly say those in the values, but we did talk about it when we were going over the values. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make that sound better. So Squeezy makes delicious fruit and veggie drinks that are good for you and the planet through small farm partnerships and nutritious blends. So I made that seem a lot easier, obviously, because this video is all planned and everything. So it may take you a little bit longer to go through yours, figure out what the wording is, but we did go through a lot of this through the values when we were going over the values as well. So that's why it also seemed a little easier. So we've got the brand values created and we've got the mission statement. So last one is going to be the vision statement. So a strong vision statement is just that. It's a vision. It's 1 to 2 sentences that essentially shares your business's main goal for the next 5 to 10 years. Roughly, it could be 15, that's okay. So it shares what you want to accomplish and the time frame that you want to accomplish it in. And again, this is a customer-facing version. Your business's internal version should be much more in depth. But again, start small. It's okay to just do the customer-facing version one if you're not familiar with creating business statements just yet. All right, so here's an example. Mine is to help 100 companies be more eco-inclusive, make more profits, and support the conscious business community within the next 5 years. So I know that sounds like really ambitious, and that's because 100% it is. I'm not here to play small, and neither should you, because we can literally make such a difference in this world together. So it's best if we really dream big and go out there. Worst case scenario, we fall a little short, and that's okay too. It's not that big of a deal. We should just, shoot for the stars kind of thing. So let's work on one for Squeezy. So this time we need to keep in mind the statements that we created today and their operational capabilities. So obviously this is a fake brand, so we're just going to make up some stuff for them. Let's say they have 3 small production sites right now across the US, and they outsource their canned production, so they don't do that themselves. And the local farms pre-wash their fruits and veggies. So that takes off some of the work that they may have to do, right? Lastly, they follow U.S. food regulations and are currently unaware of international food requirements. So they don't know what that's going to take to expand, right? So we can start there. Maybe they could start to expand to international markets, like maybe Canada and Mexico and other North American countries or regions. But let's see here. So we'll need to consider how many local communities they'll want to expand to, but we also need to consider logistics. So things like shipping, economics, political issues, and there's going to be more to consider, but those are the main ones. Plus, if they're staying true to their values of small farms and soil regeneration, it's likely going to require local flavors. So they're going to have to create new formulas using those local flavors. And we don't know what regions are going to have like already systems of like soil regeneration, permaculture. How many of those regions are current like farmers are currently follow like indigenous farming practices and stuff like that. So those are things that we're going to have to consider when we do this. And one more thing, in an ideal world, Squeezy likely has higher standards than the law provides. Okay, so sorry, whoop, knocked my camera. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, so let's say that Squeezy is going to expand their product across 6 North American regions to support indigenous farming communities and local flavors in the next 5 years, because they need to consider the farming for that region area, and then also they need to get a production site up and running. So those are 2 things right off the bat. Then they also need to find local sources for the cans. And then they need to make sure that the local farms are going to be able to pre-wash the stuff that they're ordering from them as well. So there's just a few things to consider. And now, so I know 6 seems like a small number. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge that, because their numbers don't necessarily align with, let's say, the numbers from mine, that doesn't make it any less ambitious or revolutionary on their own, right? Because that's going to be a lot of work creating, expanding to 6 different regions. There could be multiple countries in that region. We don't know yet, because this is just part of like the beginning of the internal version, right? So this is the customer facing version. It's still very, very much a big one, a big dream. So just something to say, just because your numbers don't align with someone else's doesn't make you less ambitious. All right. So let's go ahead and go over the final version. So Squeezy aims to expand across 6 North American regions while supporting indigenous farming communities and local flavors in the next 5 years. All right, that was a lot. I know that was a lot to take in, and you have a lot to consider when creating your own business statements. So go ahead and drop the ones for Squeezy in the caption below, so it's easy for you to review. But if you do need help establishing your business statements, check out my Empowerment Days package. We'll take 2 weeks to prepare for a 5-hour intensive. Breaks and a lunch are planned inside the day, so we're not just working for 5 hours straight, because that would not be so fun. But for a strategy day, we'll tackle as much as possible from my 12-point brand checklist, leaving you with a more strategic brand at the end of the day. So you can apply to empower your business in a day using the link in the caption. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week, where we will go over what makes a brand recognizable. Be sure to subscribe and be the first to know when I drop my next video. See you then.